In my hometown, there is a cathedral. Here's what it looks like. Here's what it looks like inside. It has a famous medieval map, but most importantly, it has a choir. Here they are. Here's the choir. The choir has a bit of a reputation for quality music. And if you look on the website, because people come here to listen to the choir, they print their program. Here's the program. If you look through the program, you'll see certain things. And I'd like you to pay particular attention to these things. Benedicite in B flat, Benedictus in C. Let's see what else we've got. Service in B flat by Purcell. Jubilate in C by Britten. Prelude and Fugue in B minor by Bach. So what does it all mean? B minor, C major, B minor again, G major. All of those things refer to the key that the music is composed in. The key tells us what notes we can play and what chords we can play. It's important to understand this concept if you're going to compose and produce your own music, because the key has a major effect on the mood of the music, the feel of the music, the emotional impact of the music. You might be asked to produce some happy music, some sad music, some scary music, some comforting music, and a big part of the thought process that goes into composing music of different feels, different moods, to achieve different effects, is what key the music is produced in. So it's important to understand the concept, but it's not too difficult to understand the concept. It's just a matter of learning a few rules. And we're going to do that now. So let's stick with our music program for just a minute longer and have a look at these, a few of these titles. Service in C, Prelude and Fugue in B minor. See what else we've got. Jubilate in C. You'll notice that in each case we have a letter. The letter indicates the root note of our key. We also have a word. At least in the minor key pieces, it says minor, so the key would be B minor. The keys without a word, just a convention, they're actually major keys. So we are in this course going to look at both the major key and the minor key. Let's start now with the major key, using the example of C major. I'm only going to use BandLab to illustrate the points of scales and keys, but you might find that it's good practice in using BandLab to follow along with me. So I'm just going to create a new project. Click Create, New Project. Wait for it to load. It's just going to be a project using BandLab's instruments, and all I'm going to use is the piano. And here I am with my grand piano. Okay, let's do the housekeeping. So I'm just going to call this the key of C major. My key, obviously going to be in C major as well. Okay, and as I said, all I'm going to use is my grand piano. So you'll see here on the left-hand side of my slide, I have got the C major scale written down. We've talked about scales before. If you're following along in sequence, you will have come across scales before. But just to recap, we start with our root note, and we've got 7 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we play the root note again, but this time the root note is an octave higher, okay? In terms of physics, this note is double the pitch of this note, okay? So we've got 7 notes, and the root note gets played at the beginning and at the end. making 8 notes, and we call that an octave, okay? If you go back over to BandLab and look at our piano keyboard, you'll see something interesting. Our octave has 8 notes, but our piano keyboard has 12 keys, so 12 different tones between our root note and our octave. Here's my root note, middle C. I'll just play it with my mouse because of the way that the keyboard is arranged. So here's my root note. Here's my octave. And you'll see that I have 12 keys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I have 12 keys in my octave, but there are only 7 separate notes in my octave, okay? And that's an important concept to know about a key. The key tells us the stepping pattern that we use to get from our root note to our octave, okay? We've got 12 tones. We call each one, by the way, a semitone. That's a semitone. That's a semitone. That's a semitone. So we've got 12 semitones, and some of them we play and some of them we skip. And it's which of the tones we play and which of the tones we skip gives us our particular scale. 2 semitones equals a tone. So if I go back to middle C and play the next note, you'll notice that I'm skipping that black key there. So this note, the C, and this note, the D, are what we would call a tone apart, okay? So if I skip a semitone, I'll play the next semitone. 2 semitones equals a tone, so we would say those notes are a tone apart. So these notes are a tone apart. That's a tone apart. That's a tone apart because we're skipping that key, but these 2 are only a semitone apart, okay? Because there's no black key, there's no semitone in between them. It's an important characteristic of Western music. The notes B and C, and the notes E and F don't have a semitone between them, so they are a semitone apart. Okay? And as I say, the key that we're playing in tells us when we play a tone and when we play a semitone, and that's what gives our key its particular sound. Back now on the right-hand side of my slide, I have written the stepping pattern for the major scale. So any major scale consists of this stepping pattern, okay? We're looking at the key of C major only as an example. Any major key will give you a scale with this particular stepping pattern. So what you do is you start at your root note and you play a tone, you play another tone, then you play a semitone, then you play 3 tones, and then you play a semitone, and you'll notice that that gets you back to your root note. So once again, the major scale stepping pattern is 2 tones, then a semitone, 3 tones, then a semitone. The key of C major, I actually chose it for this reason. The key of C major is particularly helpful in explaining the stepping pattern of the major scale, because you'll notice on a piano keyboard, the C major scale is all of the white notes, okay? If we look at the stepping pattern, let's start with C. Let's start with middle C. So we play middle C. And if you remember, it's 2 tones in a semitone, then 3 tones in a semitone, and that gets me back to my C note. So I play my C, play a tone, that's D, play another tone, that's E, play a semitone, but that's lucky because I don't have a semitone there. So that's F. Then I play 3 tones, tone, 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 and then a semitone gets me back to my C. So I go tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone, and that is my major scale stepping pattern. Back on my slide, you'll notice I've written another method of remembering the stepping pattern for a major scale over here. So here are my notes that comprise my major scale. Here is my stepping pattern. I play the first note, and then I play a tone, tone, a semitone, then I play a tone, a tone, a tone, and then a semitone, and that helps me remember what the notes of my major scale are, or what the stepping pattern of my major scale is. Remember, if I start with any root note and play that pattern, that is the major scale corresponding to that root note. Over here, I've written another system which is particularly useful when you're using a digital audio workstation such as BandLab. This is actually a stepping pattern in terms of the semitones that you skip. Okay, so again, you'd play your root note, you'd skip one semitone, play the next note, skip another semitone, you'd play the next note, don't skip any semitones and just play the next key, then skip one semitone, play the next note, skip another semitone, play the next note, skip another semitone, play the next note, then don't skip a semitone, just play the next key, and again, you get to your octave. That doesn't make particular sense, maybe, when you're looking at it on a slide or when you're looking at the piano keyboard here. It's much simpler here to just play your root note and then go tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. But if we go into the MIDI editor, which you'll remember is the way we actually play our notes, and we actually assemble our music in BandLab, then it makes a bit more sense. Okay, so that's my middle C there. And you'll notice that on the what we call the piano roll here, we've come across this before, you have all 12 of your semitones between your root note and your octave. Okay, so this pattern of skipping semitones is actually quite useful in terms of using this piano roll on BandLab. And even if it's not useful now, or if you think it's not useful in terms of scales, it becomes useful when you start putting chords in. So what I'm going to do now is just put the C major scale into BandLab. If you think you can do that, please just go ahead and do it. Just skip this bit, save watching me doing it, and do it yourself. That'd be great practice. If not, just follow along with me. Play my middle C. There we go. And I can just change that to a quarter note. That's great. So I play a tone. I skip a semitone. I play a tone. So I play D. I skip another semitone, so I'll skip that black note there. Play an E. Now I play a semitone. Remember, it's two tones in a semitone, so I play the F. And now I play three tones, so I'll skip that one, play the G, skip that one, play the A, skip that one, play the B, and remember the final step is just a semitone, and that brings me back to my octave. So you'll remember from using BandLab that we assemble our snippets down here on the piano roll, and then we can drag them up here, and that forms our piece. Okay, so if I want to play that, I just go. Okay, want to play it slower, what I could always do is turn my tempo down. So if I want to play it at half speed, or I could have made the notes last twice as long, I could have used half notes or even whole notes, but let's play it at 60 BPM just to hear it a bit slower. Okay, having done that, I've got a little challenge for you. We've put the key of C major into BandLab. What I'd like you to do now is put the key of D major into BandLab, okay? If you can do it, go ahead and do it. If not, I'm going to do it in a second. But remember, you just start with your root note and you play the same stepping pattern as we have already discussed. So you put your root note in, you play 2 tones, then a semitone, then you play 3 tones, then a semitone. See how you get on with that, and if not, I'm going to do it in a second. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my piano keyboard for this, just to illustrate the point a little bit more. And whilst I'm here, let me point out a really good way to cheat. If you can't remember your stepping pattern, BandLab will do it for you. Simply choose your root note over here and choose the scale you want to play over here. And now you get these little dots showing you what notes you play. Okay, but going back to our theory, we play our root note, which is D in this case, because remember C's that one. So we play our root note D. And then we go 2 tones and a semitone, 3 tones and a semitone. So we play a tone, we play another tone, which is this note here, and then we play a semitone, which is the next key here. Then we play 3 tones, which necessitates we skip that and play this black note, and then we play a semitone. So, again, we start with our root note, play a tone, play another tone, play a semitone, and then tone, tone, another tone, and a semitone. Okay, let's go back into our MIDI editor and use our semitone skipping method. So the easiest way to do this, and I've been a little bit cheeky because I haven't shown you this feature before, is you can box select all your notes. So I've got the C major scale there, and if I click and drag, I'll do it again, put the cursor over here somewhere, click and just drag, I can box select all of my notes. Now, if I click on one of them, I can drag the whole lot up 1 tone. And that gives me the D major scale. So look, D, tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. And if I play it, so that's a little bit cheeky because I didn't show you how to do that. This time I'm going to use the semitone skipping method. So I'll play my D. That's my first note, my root note. Okay, so it's skip 1, skip 1, skip none, skip 1, skip 1, skip 1, skip none. So skip 1, skip that one there. Skip that one there. So I'm on the black note. Skip none. So I've gone skip 1, skip 1, skip none. And now I go skip 1, skip 1, skip 1, skip none. And that gets us back. And there we have our D major scale. Okay, so I think I've made this point a few times now. Hopefully you've got it well and truly into your head. It's the stepping pattern that counts. So whatever key we're in, we start with our root note and we play that stepping pattern. The major key will always have that stepping pattern, 2 tones and a semitone, and 3 tones and a semitone. Last thing I'd like to say is you'll notice we've got a couple of black notes here, okay? So the black notes, I've said this before, I'm sure, they're called our accidentals, okay? And they are our sharps and flats. So we've got D here, E here. This note, this white note here, would be called an F, but because we've gone up a semitone, that's an F sharp, okay? That's an F sharp. Again here, the note 1 semitone down from D is C sharp, okay? Or you could call that D flat, but the convention as we're in the key of D is we call it C sharp. So that's C, but we're in the key of D, so we don't play C, we play C sharp, okay? Because we've got two sharps, this one and this one, in our scale, let's just have a quick look at what happens with the notation. So I've got it up here somewhere. Back to our old friend bark. So this is a piece of bark in the key of D major. And here we have our two sharps in the key signature, okay? C sharp and F sharp, which means that as you're playing this piece of music, you don't play a C, you play a C sharp. And if you get to an F, you don't play an F natural, which is our word for a normal F. We play an F sharp. So you can actually tell the key of the music from the sharps or the flats in the key signature. Okay? And I think we've spent probably a good 20 minutes talking about music theory. So I think that's enough. I hope you learned something, and I'll hopefully see you next time.